Hello and welcome to another Demon 212 NGC review. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Gauntlet Dark Legacy, which if you've never played the game before, it's a bit of a hard one to say. It's originally an arcade game, so I suppose I'll just go for its arcade. At the start you've got game starting options. This time on the option screen you can actually customise your controls and everything completely. You can also choose for multiplayer mode whether or not you want the shots to hurt players or stun players, or whether you not just want to be able to shoot straight through the other people. You can turn a compass on for those who get lost easy, so it's a lot more in depth with that. The save system still works the same as the last game, and the reason I'm mentioning the last game is as much as in the end of the last review I actually said how you'd have to want to watch this one first if you're interested in the game, and I'll explain that now. Basically it's not a sequel, it's an expansion pack, but it contains pretty much everything the original game does. I'll go more in depth later on, but for now I'm just going to basically load up the game file. When you choose your loaded game and all, you can play as different characters and you have to level them all up. So for example with the archer here I've got level 16, but with the dwarf I haven't played as him yet, so he hasn't got any levels. But there's 16 different characters. You've got all sorts to unlock. Some that, well, basically you get 8 to unlock, 8 that are standard. You can change the colour and everything, so if you don't want to be, for example, like the red warrior like it used to be, you can just be a green warrior and that. But you've all got to level them all up, and you level them up by killing enemies and that. So this is the main world hub where all the worlds are, and this is one of the major differences right away. In the last game you had to basically find the obelisks around about the levels, and then after you'd found all of them it would unlock a new world. This one you just have to keep collecting crystals, and there's a limit of crystals and different colour and type and that for each world, and it's like you get 15 right at the start to open up the first world for you. You then need to collect 100 red ones to open up the second world, and so on and so forth. Just all sorts of crystals. You have to be on the lookout. You don't really have to worry about collecting everyone you see, because you tend to be able to get the amount of crystals that you need well in advance. So it's the type of thing that there's 5 levels in the first world. By the time I'd finished the 3rd level I'd already collected every crystal I needed. So they still reappear in that. You can still continue to collect them if you want to, but they literally don't do anything once you've reached the limit. So they're just literally one of those things that are in way. You've got a few different things about this game. For example, now you can't do the turbo attack. You can still do the turbo, but you can't actually do the actual turbo attack, which on the last one basically it had 3 different colours of your turbo meter, and you could do a power attack. Now you can't do that. This time though you can block. You can do slow attacks which are more powerful. You can because it's got another analog, you can play it like Robotron, which means you can actually move around while you're firing. You fire slower, but you can move around, which is an advantage. And you still can use your quick attack, which locks you to the ground. You can still punch and kick and that. It's pretty much automatic as you walk into them. However, there is an option to make it not automatic. So that's pretty much everything there is to really mention. The only difference, as I say, is the fact that you can't do the power attacks, and now you can do the turbo attacks. You can still use your potion as a shield, however it's activated different this time. You just double tap the potion button. I don't think you can throw the potions anymore. I've tried pushing a load of buttons with the potion button and I've yet to manage to throw one, so they must have removed that as well. But as I say, it's not actually a sequel or anything. It's the original game, but it's an expansion pack. So it pretty much contains everything the same, only better graphics, better music. The levels have been slightly changed to have different enemies and that, but it still is pretty much everything on the last game, only with more. As I say, there's more characters, there's 16 now, there's more levels, more bosses, so there is a lot of new stuff as well. So basically, the reason I've said to watch this one is, if you're interested in the Gauntlet games, definitely get this one if you're able to. Don't just go for the PlayStation 1 one, because for example if you're playing on a PS2, go for the PS2 one because it came out on that as well, and you get everything in the original game and more. Yes, there is some advantages to owning both games if you can find them cheap enough like I did, because it is a new way to basically play the old levels. So it is one of those things you could play the game first and then play the expansion pack where you replay all the levels. They're in different places, different enemies and that, so it just gives more length to give Gauntlet gaming. But if you're only after the one, definitely go for this one. There's still boss levels and there's still items and all that, so I'll try and do my best to show off the items, but the item menu on this one doesn't work as well as it did in the last one. You've still got the super hammer there that really hurts enemies, including bosses, and it still is also wise not to fight the bosses straight away, but instead to find the secret item that hurts the bosses greatly, so that then they've basically lost a lot of energy. You can still play the bosses without the items, and it just adds a lot more challenge to it, and it's the type of thing that I prefer to do, but it really does make a difference. So if you're on your own like I am, or if there's 4 of you but you aren't very good, it is definitely best waiting until you've got the item, because that's the other thing. This one has 4-player co-op. The first one only did if you had it on the N64. The PlayStation 1 only had 2-player co-op. As I say though, just quickly going back to the items, because I'm doing my best to try and show them off, but the menu is really dodgy because now it works in the purple bar, and for some strange reason they don't always show up which ones that you're using, so it can be very awkward to use. I don't know if that's just a GameCube glitch. I've never had any other version of the game, but there's basically power items, there's defensive items, there's other things like that. When you beat a level, it'll come up the shop where you can buy other items and where you can buy health, where you can buy keys and stuff like that. So the shop's there, and it's well worth collecting the gold because it really comes in handy having these items. You can get, as I say, all sorts of things to help you out, defensive, offensive, stuff like that. Not really much left to say, so I'll just cut into another level and then finish everything that I have got to say, to be fair. So just for comparison, I've actually went onto a level that's on this one that was on the last review that I've done, so you can just basically look around and see what's changed in that. For example, that there that I've just leveled up to one of the rune stones, you need, I think it's 13 on both games to be fair, in order to meet the end boss in that. However, originally that was one of the obelisks that you needed to activate to access the worlds, but obviously, as I say, this one's now crystals, so they've changed what you now get with the obelisks. It's not always the rune stones. I'm pretty sure sometimes it's just items, and to be fair, I think they might have even taken some of the locations out, like, because it was just like switches that activated it and stuff like that. There's still power enemies like this, and this time there's also generals, which are basically, well, you'll know them when you see them. Basically, the enemies that you're fighting throughout the levels will be a bigger, much badder and stronger and faster version of them, and they're the generals. So there's things like the golems still, but as I say, there's also them things that I've just fought there. I don't even know what the name of it is. It's just basically that thing that was a Black Panther-like winged creature, so almost like the that mythical thing that I now can't remember the name of. But basically, there's all sorts of different enemies and stuff like that, just like the last one. There's the gameplay still works pretty much the same as the old games. You need to get keys, go through doors, open treasure chests, kill the enemies. When you kill the enemies, you level up, you get stronger, you get familiars, which will help you out, stuff like that. There's really isn't though much left to mention, so the last thing I'll say is that there's over 40 levels, including all the bosses and that, and to get the bosses you just need to get a load of collectibles and stuff like that, so there's plenty to do. And as I say, if you're only after one of these Gauntlet games, go for this one, because this is the complete one.
Congratulations, you have found a rune stone.
So there we go then, that's been the review. I hope you've enjoyed it, or at least found it helpful. You might have noticed I didn't score the game. Well, that's because it's a matter of personal opinion, and yours may very well differ from my own. I'm just here to show you a bit about the game. If you like it or not, well, that's up to you. If you don't like it, or you do like it, feel free to comment. Also, if I haven't answered any of your questions that you may have had, I might have forgot something, or it might just be something obscure. Again, feel free to comment, ask, always willing to help out. Otherwise, if you don't like commenting on YouTube, head over to www.vc-forums.com, where you can chat with me and a bunch of other lads who love the VC, the WiiWare, and hell, even a lot of other systems. We cater to pretty much everything. You can just go there, have a chat about a game, ask about some games, etc. So until next time, this has been Demon212, signing off.